Hello and welcome. This is Felix speaking from easybits, and today we will be taking a deep dive together into optimizing your data extraction and document classification pipelines on our easybits Extractor platform. To give you a short overview of what this video will be about, in the first step, I will be talking about optimizing your descriptions. In the second step, we will be talking about confidence scoring. And in the third step, I will share some tips regarding error handling and building an error log with the core functionality of our Extractor platform. Let's first of all head over to our platform so I can show you what I mean with optimizing your descriptions. As you can see here, I already pulled up a pipeline that I previously built. I used the automapping feature for this pipeline. So automapping helps you to really get the setup going in a few steps and in a few seconds. I just uploaded my example invoice. I clicked automapping and now it mapped all the data fields that could be relevant to me, and it already added a name, a data type, an example, and the description that we will be optimizing now. Now, why should you optimize a description, you might say? In most of the cases, if you use the automapping feature, it will cover the use case that you want to cover. So the data extraction will work, it will get the right data for you, it will extract it, also it will display it in the right format. But if you come across a use case like I did here with the invoices, you tend to see different layouts and different formats of these kind of documents. I came across one edge case where the extractor wasn't able to actually extract the invoice number. So I now wanted to dive in and actually refine this description more so it also covers the edge case. How will I do this? So I go into the description field, I copy the description that the automapping feature gave me, and I head over to my favorite LLM that I like working with most. In my case, I use Gemini, so I take this description, I put it inside the prompt that I will be sharing with Gemini LLM, and then I will add the context, hey, please refine this description / prompt for me. I want to make sure that it catches all the invoice numbers, no matter how the format or layout looks like of the incoming document. Also, as you can see, I attached two different document types that I will be processing with this. So two document examples that look different. Just to keep in mind, the core rule is always the more context and the more examples you can give to the LLM at this point, the better the optimization will be. So for my case, I then shared this with the LLM and it returned me a new prompt / description that I can now just copy. I will paste it here. I will save the mapping, and to get it tested, I head over to the test tab, click save and test pipeline. And now I should be able to see that it extracts the invoice number correctly from my document. Another point, as we can see, it did it. And it worked perfectly fine. So now I can go ahead. I don't need to change anything in the integration of my pipeline. It's just optimized on the platform. So the pipeline now will also run perfectly fine. To keep in mind, what I see when I talk to a lot of users is they don't really utilize the example field that we added here as well. The example field is needed though, because you can add more context for the model behind the extractor to get a better understanding of what you are searching for. So the example is always good to add if you are getting into optimizations and refinements on the description or the pipeline level, right? Let's get into the second step, which is confidence scoring. For confidence scoring, I have to mention that with data extraction, I don't use it that often. Confidence scoring is something that I use mainly when I build out document classification. So document classification means a document comes into the extractor, and now you have classes that you predefined, and you want the extractor to give the document one class and return it to you, so you kind of understand how to route it later on in your workflow based on the document type. Now, confidence scoring, if you implement it in that kind of step with the document classification, helps you to understand if the model and the extractor is actually confident in the class it gave back to you. As I built this already previously, I will be sharing in the description below of this video. I will be sharing the link to my workflow template that is available on n8n, so you can just take it from there and build out confidence scoring for your own pipeline and your own workflows. As you can see, I used it for classifying documents. So what I would get from the extractor in this case is I would get one class back and a high, mid, or low confidence as well returned, so I can kind of get an understanding of how confident the model is. Why do I need this and how do I use it further? What I would do is I would then go in and actually build a workflow that checks after the extractor node if the confidence score that it returned is low. If it's low, I would then flag this one case so it can be checked by a human or even land maybe in a log or something like that, so I can check it afterwards again to make sure it doesn't land in the wrong category. That also brings us to the third step, which is error handling. So if we are talking about error handling, I will also make sure to share in the description below a template that I've already published on n8n as well, which is basically a simple error logging function and an error logging workflow that you can just implement in order to check if an extraction failed or if a classification didn't go through as planned. Let's take the example of the invoice data extraction again. So in that case, if I would take this pipeline that I've built previously and I would integrate it and then put the error handler behind it. The cool part is that our extractor returns an empty value or a null whenever it can't grab any data point. I would also go in and optimize the description to actually tell the model, hey, whenever you're unsure, don't hallucinate, just return me a null. So I would even embrace that a little bit more and enable the model to actually go that decision route. Why that is important is the model, especially when you, for example, build out classification, the model tends to see these classes that you predefined and it will say, hey, my job is to actually return him one class. So the model is unsure if it's even okay if it returns you that it couldn't find the right class, right? In that instance, changing the description to telling the model, hey, it's okay that you can return me a null or an empty value, gives the model the possibility to be in that state of mind, okay, I can also return a null value and it's totally fine for my user. Now, if the model now, or the extractor now returns a null, I would then build the workflow out so that it checks if there's an empty value after the extractor. If the value is empty, it should then actually flag it. For example, in this workflow that I'm sharing here, you can see that it sends a Slack alert to a special channel in order to tell the people basically that are using this automation or the extraction of our extractor that the extraction didn't go through as planned. So now they can dive in and actually look at the process and what happened there and why it flagged it. That's a great way to also, when you do onboardings and you have the first week or first 2 weeks of onboarding an automation, to get a better understanding of what is happening with the automation in place. So I kind of use a combination of confidence scoring and error handling in order to get this first onboarding phase as transparent as I can get it. This being said, these two workflows for confidence scoring, /classification, which is also a part of this template, and the error handling. I will be sharing them in the description of this video. As mentioned, feel free to grab them and to also apply them to your workflows so you can get more transparency, you can get a more robust solution in the end, and also keep on optimizing your descriptions if you see that data extraction not always works as you want it. Just go in, optimize further, and you will be getting the results that you are actually aiming for. This being said, it was a pleasure for me to give you an understanding of how I optimize my data extraction / document classification pipelines. And if you have any questions, just note them in the comments, write them in the comments. I will be for sure replying. I'm happy to always support and help. And then we will be seeing each other in the next video. I wish you a great rest of your day and keep on optimizing. Bye.